Alola, everyone! That's how you say hello in the Alola region, the brand new region in the new Pokemon games, Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. And with brand new games means a brand new Pokedex, and hundreds of new Pokemon to explore. We'll be looking at the Pokemon I feel like I would most enjoy using in my playthrough of the game. So, without further ado, here's my team for Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. Number 6, Vicavolt. Every game has its early route Bug-type Pokemon, and although most of the time they have terrible base stat totals, none of them really look all that menacing. Apart from maybe Beedrill, who was in the first generation, and maybe Scolipede if you count him as one of those early bug types. But then you have Vicavolt, whose angular and fierce design looks like an R-Wing from Star Fox. I mean, look at this thing. It's like a pincer with wings. Oh, they already did that. I wasn't that sold on Grubbin when he first came out, but then when they released his evolutions and I saw how awesome he was going to look in his final form, I decided to give him a chance. And the fact that he's an electro type with Levitate doesn't hurt his chances either. Number 5, Palossand. Ever since they released these two, they've captured my imagination in having an amorphous sand monster on my team. And let me tell you why. In a fan-made game called Pokemon Insurgents, they have what are basically Alolan forms, even though they don't call them that. And in the game, Grimer and Muck are ground types, and they're made of sand instead of slime. I wish that these were their true Alolan forms, instead of just the rainbowy dark types like we got, but luckily Sandygast and Palossand fill in this missing role. This way, I get to keep my sand blob monsters and use them on my team. And for those of you saying a haunted sandcastle is a bad design, it's not actually a sandcastle. It just disguises itself to look like a sandcastle. So, if you ask me, we've got another excellent pair of ghost ground types, and I'm excited to use them on my team. Number 4, Salandit. Fire Poison has always been one of the more interesting type combinations I've wanted to see in a Pokemon game, but I never really knew what it could look like. Then Salandit came along, and I had a similar problem with not really knowing what this thing could evolve into. But Game Freak has had a pretty solid history when it comes to reptilian or lizard-like Pokemon, so I'm sure it will evolve into something both imposing and worthy of the type combination. Couple this with its new ability Corrosion and the capability of poisoning any type of Pokemon, and you have something that could be incredibly annoying if used against you, but also a lifesaver and potentially game-changing for you if you're able to properly wield it on your own team. I, for one, am looking forward to trying and anticipate Salandit to be a key member of my new team. Number 3, Lycanroc. When Rockruff was revealed, I wasn't a huge fan, but again, once they released the evolutions, I was much more on board, especially with the midday form. I mean, aside from this being a pure rock type that's something besides just a big rock, we've never really had a wolf Pokemon like this before, with such a sleek and cunning design. I can't help but be reminded of Tiger from Monster Rancher, who was one of the best characters on the entire show. And yes, I know that by necessity that means that Midnight form is Were-Garurumon, but I've always been more of a Greymon man myself. Besides, Midday form gets its own signature move, Accelerock, which as of right now is the only priority rock-type move. And that is an asset just too good to pass up for my own team. Number 2, Alolan Ninetails. Vulpix and Ninetails have always been some of my favorite fire types from the first generation, because they've always looked so majestic. But now, somehow in the new games, they look even more majestic. And they're not fire types anymore, they're ice types, which only adds to their majesty. And for good measure, Ninetails adds on the fairy typing. It's crazy to think that my new favorite fairy type is a Ninetails. I'm so excited for the possible moveset combinations that this brings to the table. My only worry is that Sun and Moon will stick to the trend of most Pokemon games, and not have the icy areas available until near the end of the game, which means that these two won't be there for most of the story. But even if that is the case, I'll be more than willing to wait if it means adding these beauties to my team. Number 1, Rowlett. Ever since the first day, I knew that Rowlett was the starter I wanted to pick. He just jumped out at me so much more than the other two, with his cute little bow tie and the fact that he was spherical.
It's spherical! Spherical!
I was less convinced about Dartrix when it first came out, and even less so with Decidueye when it was released, especially the names. But after some thought, I think I have a solution. Dartrix is obviously the young, inexperienced playboy version who gets shipwrecked, and then, after 5 years on a deserted island, he returns home with only one goal: to save his city. Plus, after beating up some Team Skull bad guys, you can look at them and say, "You have failed this city." I'm not normally one to nickname my Pokemon, but all of you out there are free to use Oliver Queen, or if you like to keep your secret identity, the Green Air Owl. Another unique feature is that not many Pokemon go through 3 primary typings in their lifetime, which I'm sure means that Rowlett will get a decent helping of good grass, flying, and ghost-type moves, supplying a varied move pool and granting it a large number of possible different useful combinations. All in all, Rowlett's sheer cuteness and raw potential hasn't gotten me this excited for a starter since Piplup back in Generation 4, and I can't wait to see how he'll turn out in the game. So there's my team for Pokemon Sun and Moon. This list, of course, is subject to change as I play through the games. What Pokemon make up your Alolan teams? Are there any that surprised you? Let me know down in the comments below. Also be sure to leave a like and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And we'll see you around next time.